Welcome everyone once again to this series of interviews with the greatest trombone players around the world. Today we have one of my heroes, I can say. I had the opportunity to work with him, to study with him, and he is Jörgen van Rijen. Welcome, Jörgen. How are you doing now?
Thank you very much. I'm fine. I'm doing very well. No problem.
Nice.
It's a strange time being at home, but all the family, everybody around me is healthy and fine, so everything is okay. I hope you too.
Yeah, we are doing okay here in Italy. How is your family doing? Are they also okay?
Yes, they are fine. Everybody is healthy, and we have 3 young children, so it has been very nice to do some homeschooling the past few weeks, to have them around all the time, which was really nice. And now in Holland, the schools will reopen in 2 weeks from now. So they are looking forward. There's some holiday now, and after the holiday, they are looking forward to go to school again.
That is Spring's holiday, right?
Sorry?
Spring's holiday, right?
Yes, it's Spring's holiday, yeah.
It's around 2 weeks, and then kids are going back into school. But what do you think is going to be like different classrooms, small groups?
They will start to go, they split the class in half, and they go, one group goes one day and the other group goes the other day. So they go 2 or 3 days a week. And if that works well, and there will be no big come of the virus, then in June they will restart the normal schedule.
That's really good to hear. Talking about trombone, Jörgen. Tell me, sorry, I interrupted you. Was not important.
No.
Okay. Keep on going. Talking about trombone, Jörgen. I think people now are watching you and listen at you. They are really curious. What is Jörgen doing at home with the trombone?
Playing. Yes, I have to say that in the very beginning, the first week, it was a bit difficult to get started with the family and the schooling at home with everything. So I took a little break in the beginning, just to get everything started, and then I started to miss the trombone and I started to play again. And of course it's a bit strange because there's not a specific thing to practice for, because we don't know when we can do concerts again and when we can do things again. But I play 3 times a week with my students, some warm-up sessions in the morning, and the other days I do it myself. So to stay in shape, and I play through pieces and things that I normally have not so much time, because normally in normal life there is always something coming up, the next concert to prepare or the next week to prepare. And actually now it's nice to take a bit some time and to work on some things that I always wanted to do but there was never time for. So I try to find some very nice pieces that I have, but I never got to really practice. And I just also do exercises. I try to find new things that I normally don't do. So I have to say, in the normal life, there is always this feeling like it would be so great if I had a few months time to work on my problems and the things to make things better. And it never happens. And now actually there is time to do it. So
must be new for you to stay at home for such a long time.
Yes, fortunately, of course, it's strange, and it's also not very motivating to practice when you don't have concerts. So I have to keep myself going, and I'm in contact with the students and with colleagues, and to say, okay, we have to practice. And luckily in Holland, it's not been as bad as in some other places. So we've never been completely locked down at home. There is some kind of a lockdown and people are asked to stay at home and to work from home, but we can still go outside. We can We can walk, take walks, we can run, we can go to shops. Of course, restaurants and bars, everything is closed, but it's not such a lockdown as in some other countries. So
That's true. It's true. Have you heard something? When are you coming back into your own projects, orchestra, doing some lessons?
no, lessons, of course, I'm doing all the time. We just continue the lessons with the students over Zoom, and we have Zoom sessions with all the students together to talk about things, and we also work together with some other trombone classes. So sometimes we have a warm-up Zoom where 50 or 60 people join. So tomorrow morning, for example, I teach in Amsterdam, but I go a few times a year to London also, to the Royal Academy. And I was supposed to go there last week for 2 days. So we said, okay, I cannot go there, but I teach over Zoom, and we do a Zoom warm-up daily routine session tomorrow with the students of Amsterdam and the students of the Royal Academy in London together. So that's some nice projects. And the real project with orchestra or ensembles, we are looking forward to announcements from the government. We hope the next announcement will be, I think, on the 11th of May. And if things go well, it looks like maybe some things might very slowly start to be possible. So the moment we can be with a few more, now it's just restricted and you are not allowed to do any events.
Okay.
But we hope we can do some chamber music, 3-4 people in one room with distance. We are sort of preparing to do that when it's possible again, and we hope in a few weeks.
Jörgen, tell me, how is working through Zoom with your students? Must be tough to manage a lot of students at the same time.
Yeah, it's of course it's not ideal. It's much better if you see the students live, and you can hear much more. You hear much more in the sound, so it also depends a bit on the equipment everybody has. Some people are just locked down in their home and they had not even time to get their microphones or their stuff there before they had to go. So it depends a bit student by student, but we find a nice modus. I think what I do is some of the students, they send me recordings, so they have more time and with better equipment to make the recording, and then we Zoom and talk about the recording. And also if the connection is good enough, we can still work and they play for me and I listen, and it maybe shifts the focus a little bit from really working on the sound and the trombone technique, because especially sound is very difficult to judge. But we talk a lot about the pieces they play, the backgrounds of the pieces, the lines you can make, the way to articulate, so how to play the pieces. And that's very possible even over Zoom. And we have also some sessions with all the students together where we talk about, for example, we listen every week to the same symphony, all the students, to different recordings, and we discuss and we say what we like, what we don't like, and we discuss, maybe we talk about breathing, about exercises, or about slide technique, or about other subjects. So it's a bit more talking, but still it's a very good way to exchange ideas and knowledge. So we found, of course, we're looking forward to come back to normal playing and sitting in the same room. That would be really nice, but we can, for the time being, we find ways to do it. And I think it's important with the students also to, in a social way, to make sure we still have a feeling of a class and of a connection between each other, and that not everybody is in their own room alone without a plan and without anything. So,
but that is really interesting what you guys are doing at the moment. Listen some recordings, having a talk. What's your opinion about this recording from Concertgebouw, from London Symphony, and discussing about
yes.
it? Really nice that you're doing it.
Every week, 3 different students, they suggest a piece, and they suggest also the specific recordings. And we sometimes try, for example, to find the same orchestra, the same piece, but 3 different conductors. or the same orchestra or the same conductor, same piece with three different orchestras, and to see what is the influence of a conductor or an orchestra. How does an orchestra sound? Do we recognize it always? Recording technique, older recordings, new recordings, what's the difference? So it's actually interesting. So things you don't get to do so often in the normal life, because
No,
you're
never.
always playing together. But actually it's nice. It's something I'm sure we will keep doing also later when everything gets back to normal.
It's like a music history, but based on the trombone. That is really nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can discuss how specific brass section sounds, but not only brass. Of course, we also listen to the strings and the winds, and you can listen and hear each other's opinions, and that makes everything. It makes also you have to listen really well, because you have to give your opinion about it in a Zoom with all the students. So it forces you to listen very well.
Okay. Very nice to have. I think must create another subject for the conservatory.
Yes, I think it's very nice to talk about things also, and also to talk about, for example, things like breathing. Of course, we talk one by one in lessons, but to do it with everybody together, and we listen to how people feel it, how people see it. It makes the picture clearer for everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
We have done some sessions about how to program a recital, what things you can think about, or how to organize your life with like the business side of music, how taxes work, all these things, everything that is a subject that you run into as a musician when you get a professional. We try to address those things. And I think that's certainly something we should keep doing when we are back to normal.
Yeah, for sure. Going back into your own playing, we were talking about that it's difficult to get like a goal, main goal, short-term goal, and long-term goal. How are you dealing with those things?
Yes, like I said, it's difficult because you are so used to have a concert that you practice for, or so I have some new pieces that are written for me that will be played later. So I have already the music. Some of the things I have some music already, not everything, but so that's something to practice. And I try to think also about the longer future. So what kind of recital programs, what kind of ensemble things we could program in concerts maybe in 2021 and 2022, already making plans for that. And then it gives you already, it's very far away, but at least it gives you something already to start practicing and to focus on. Some of the concerts I was supposed to do in this time, they are postponed, so we'll find a new date. Which means that still the same pieces I have to keep practicing for when it is possible to play the concert. So there is a pile of pieces that I know that is coming up in the next 2 years when everything's open again. And that's my concrete goal. And the more general goal is to just look at my own playing and look at like what is not good about it and what would I like to improve. And now is some time where you can do some basic work, because sometimes if you start to change small things in your basics, maybe for a few weeks you actually get a bit stiff, things don't work. And in normal life there's no time for it, because then there's the next concert coming up and you have to be in shape. And now it gives actually a bit more space to change some more fundamental things. So I'm not going to completely play different, but some small things that are I always have a list of things that I think that should be much better. But now,
because now you have a little bit longer period to do your own warm up, to improve what you think that you want
to test things, like would it work better like this or like this. And normally there's not so much time to practice. I mean, I have to also it's somehow disappointing that the problems are not gone with a bit of practice. They will stay the rest of my life, unfortunately. But at least you can try to work on it.
To improve your own things. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Jörgen, tell me, what is the thing that you are missing the most nowadays?
For sure, this is the interaction with other, of course, with other people socially. But if you look at the trombone and the music, it's the playing together and to react on each other. The language of music is something incredible because it's without words, you communicate. You communicate with other musicians, you react on what people are doing. Like, so somebody plays a specific melody in the orchestra, what I have to play later, and you hear, you get inspired. And you think, if they play like this, then maybe I can do it like this. And somebody reacts. And this is interaction between the musicians. And on top of that, you have, of course, the communication and interaction between you and your public. You see and you feel if people are caught by what you do, and you see the reaction. And this whole communication through music I think is something magic. And this is what I miss the most. Of course, we do things over Zoom and over internet, and we can record things, and people can listen to it and enjoy it. But the live communication, where there's air between two human beings, and by making the air move, making sounds and music, you can create emotions and you can communicate. That is something that is not replaceable by any digital, by any online world. I mean, and that's also why I'm completely sure that some of the online things that happen now are great. Like we talk also about the Zoom things or the discussion we do now. And this is so great. This will also stay for sure. This is a nice innovation of this time. But I am 100% sure that people will come back to concert halls as soon as they can, because everybody misses this live interaction.
Sure. Talking about online playing, I think you already got a lot of invitations to play. For example, Concertgebouw yesterday did the release for this Koningsdag recording. You guys were playing there. How many of that kind of recordings are you doing at the moment?
I do. Of course, I like to be part of nice projects, and if people ask, I do it, and it's very nice. It's very difficult, so I do it all the time when things are asked. Or it's, of course, it's a little bit the question, like, what can you do next? So we
what
have now the
first like coming praying up, yeah.
Yeah, because now everybody has done a lot, which is great. The thing with playing with yourself in different screens, or playing with your colleagues. So it's a bit the thing to think about what comes after that, and this is difficult to find. But I'm doing it and I'm enjoying it. Like I said, it's the best we can do now. But to me, it's not replacing anything of the real ensemble playing or playing together.
You have some projects
the best we can do under the circumstances.
For recordings?
I have a few things in mind, but nothing yet. There were already a few projects planned before, just for audio recordings, so CD recordings, these kind of things, and we are working on that. But I don't have a specific project now coming. I'm doing a few more of these this kind of live chats, and there's one on the Archeo Brass Concertgebouw Orchestra Brass page next Thursday, where I will do Q&A and talk a bit. So that's something that's coming up, and we are. I'm in some of the committees in the orchestra, talking about what we can do when we come back. So I'm pretty busy with that. So we are planning now, like to make some scenarios if we can come back together with maybe only with a brass quintet or with a smaller group. Then we make projects or to make everything ready to be able to stream it.
What about the school, Jörgen, the conservatorium? How they're gonna end the year?
This is complicated. Sure. We just did all the entrance exams now.
In April,
so there,
right?
everybody had to send, yeah. And everybody had to send recordings, and we discussed, we did a Zoom meeting with all the teachers and each of the candidates to speak, and so that's done. And now comes the final exams, and I think the idea is now that everybody will have to make a portfolio with some recordings and some written text, and so make sort of a how do you call it in English? So yeah, I think portfolio, put some things together and present it, and that will count as their final exam of the year.
There will be also like a grade, cum laude, sehr gut, very good.
I'm not exactly sure how we will judge the final exam people, because the biggest part of the students is, of course, to go from one year to the other, and there it will be just said yes or no. And I think there will be a grade to the portfolio, but I'm not exactly sure how we're gonna do it.
How did it work like for a final exam?
Yeah, I think the only way what they can do is record. So record the pieces that they want to play in the best possible way, and yeah, there's something happened. Okay, there we are. I think that's the only thing I think it can only be by recording. Of course, if the moment the school could reopen, even for just a few students and for just a few people, then the final exam people will be the first one who will be allowed back and to finish the school. But it's not completely not sure if this will happen this season, because they will start up first the elementary schools for the young children, and they're afraid to start the older students.
Jörgen, how can, for you, your own opinion, how can you judge a recording of one of your students, for example, that you know how she is playing live? How can you judge? What are your main topics that you're saying, okay, sound, tuning, must be really difficult.
There is just, I would say normally it's basically the same way as it's normal now. The only thing is you're missing a lot of the sound quality, depending on how good their microphones are. But even then, with recordings, you don't hear what you hear live as a sound, but you do hear articulation, you do hear if they make lines, you do hear the intonation, you can hear, especially if they send recordings, you can hear very well the dynamics, all things. So you can almost about everything you can talk. It's just the sound production is less clear.
We were talking before for a while that now your way of working is everything online, of course, through Zoom, through videos. Do you think in the future, after this lockdown, after this quarantine, would be like a window to open for a school to have like a main subject for that?
Oh. Sorry, something happened to my phone. I think that this could be very, very, very good. Why not? I think whatever comes out of this crisis, I think a lot of things will hopefully go back to normal at some point, but everybody will be much better and much more equipped with Zoom and with microphones, with everything. So whatever we can keep from that works, we have to keep it. And I think it will be very smart for the schools also to make it a subject and to keep going and keep learning and make sure everybody makes use of all the possibilities. I think that's in general, if you're an artist, if you are an like if you make art, if it's music or you're a painter or you're whatever you are, I think you have to try to use all resources. So you have to try to make use of everything. And if there is a digital way to do things, then it's very good to do it, I think.
What would you improve for online education?
For sure, it will improve a lot of online, and it actually feel there. I feel also, if I look to my children, for example, there were a lot of possibilities already before, but they were not really used. And now that everybody was forced to use it, so I think the development would have come normally as well, but it would have taken maybe some years before everybody was going to slowly start to use it. And now it's forced, and it will not go back. So if I also look to the way the school teachers of my children made things work, within a few days with Google Classroom and Google Hangouts, and the way it worked, and actually worked very well, it's something they will, for sure, they should keep going and keep doing.
Yeah, for sure. Going back into your drama life, of course, since at least in Europe, we are getting back to our normal jobs, also teaching jobs in conservatorium. At least it's gonna be like for next year. What do you think? Next year, I mean 2021.
Yeah, it really depends. Back to normal will take quite a while, I think. I mean, until there is a vaccine or a medicine, we will be sort of the last ones to go back to normal, because what we do is putting 2,000 people in a room very close together,
like in a stadium.
That's exactly what it's almost impossible to make it a 1.5 meter economy, even though we're going to do it. I mean, we make plans now with the orchestra to be able to play, to make a setting for the orchestra between the musicians 1.5 meter. So in the Concertgebouw, it means all the chairs will go out and we will play on the floor, and so we will do it. But back to normal, it might take a long time. But nobody knows. If they find a cure for this thing next week, then next month it will be back to normal. If they don't find it for the next 2 years, it will take time. So nobody knows. But it looks like it's going to take longer than a few weeks.
What about your jobs? Are you getting your normal salary at the moment?
Yes.
And I don't know how it works in the Netherlands at the moment.
No, we are very lucky, I think, here. The government is also doing very well in that sense so we are getting our full salaries. Yes.
Okay.
So we are getting our full salary. So we are very lucky, and I think a lot about friends who are freelancers, for example, who really have. Of course, in Holland, they also get some support from the state, which is very good, but it's difficult for them. So
talking about music, Jörgen,
nothing to complain.
Talking about music.
Yes.
Now that everything happened, I think in the Netherlands they were clapping a few times, giving like cheers to the doctors. In Italy, yes, they were playing in all the balconies. I think perhaps you saw a guy playing the trumpet in Sicilia, playing a song about the Beatles, I believe. I think it was in BBC. For example, I was talking with Christian Jones, and he was playing at the street. Also, he was live streaming on BBC. I'm going to the topic that do you think people will appreciate music after this lockdown, after this quarantine time?
I really hope so, actually. I think people know what they like when they don't have it. You know? They appreciate more when you suddenly realize, like, oh, how nice was it to go to concerts if you cannot go. So this what I described before, this communication through music, I think this is a fantastic thing. And we, in normal life before Corona, we take it for granted. We think it's always we will be there. So if we don't go today, we can still go tomorrow, and then tomorrow doesn't happen and people don't go. But I think through this, people realize how great it is to be able to go to a concert and hear music live. So I really hope that, although it's a big trouble, this whole corona thing, and it's terrible for a lot of people, especially people who suffer from the disease, and even from family members who pass away, and this is all absolutely terrible. But if there could be one good thing of it, is that people appreciate that kind of things much more than before. And you realize, if you're suddenly at home, that material things are not mattering so much. Of course, you need enough money to eat and drink and do, but if there's nothing you can do, then you can have an expensive car or whatever, but it doesn't mean anything. So I hope people will start appreciating more the non-material things of life, the meeting each other, talking to each other, arts, everything that means something to you. And I really hope people will actually come back more than ever to concerts, because they will enjoy it more, and it will speak more to them.
Do you think people will change their mind setup about music, like the art in general? It's like you can say a new beginning.
I hope so. Yes. I mean, it's difficult to predict how things will go. There is also a little bit of a chance that if it goes away pretty fast, then people also go back to normal. I mean, after the financial crisis, people thought everything will change, and a few years later is back to where we were before. But so it's difficult to predict. But I really hope, and I really think that people will appreciate it more. For example, we did yesterday in Holland was the King's Day. It's a big celebration of the birthday of the king. Everybody normally goes crazy in orange clothes and go drinking and partying on the street. Of course, now it was not possible to go. Now it was at home.
How was that feeling?
But our orchestra started a project that we played the national anthem in everybody at home, and we put it together in a film. And then also we asked all the people in the country at 10 o'clock in the morning to start the day with playing the national anthem from their home, on the balcony or on the street or in the window in their house, open the windows and play together. And I did it here in my house. Mm. And suddenly if I would play just a melody from my window in pre-corona time, people would look up and like shut up, what are you doing? And now people, they're like, wow, we'll play it again, or just for the fact of there happened something and there is music and there is something going on. So I hope it sort of reset the people, and people are more appreciative and also more aware of beautiful things. Mm. I don't say that my national anthem playing was beautiful, but but I see that people appreciate it.
Yeah, that is really true. Jörgen, what is the first thing that you will do when we get our normal lives back?
Yeah, this is a difficult question. I think three things maybe. Sorry, you've asked only the first thing. I would go to visit family and especially all the people like my parents and people who I cannot visit now. We can see people here on a distance, but at least can see them. But we cannot go to people who could have trouble with the coronavirus. So that's the very first thing. Go to play music with people again, and for people that would be, and maybe just go to a restaurant and have a beer in a bar with friends.
Like the old times.
Yeah. Yes, I think the most important thing to learn from this is that social interaction, musical interaction is very important. We cannot live without it. And the moment I can do that again, I will do it as much as I can.
That's really true. Jörgen, being a little bit more specific about your daily routine nowadays, we were talking that you're trying to improve things that before was impossible because of time. But what is your motivation nowadays to play? Get up in the morning and play long notes. What is your motivation, your main motivation?
The main motivation is that I like it. It's very it's simple, but if I don't play for one, like I said in the very beginning, when this all happened and all our concerts were cancelled and we had to stay at home, the first days and first week I was busy with organizing everything, the family and everything. But after a while, I miss it. I miss playing. I miss making music. So the main motivation is just doing it because I want to play. And then I practice less than I do normally for when I have to practice for big concerts. But I play and I do a good warm up daily routine session. I try to do every day.
Can you be a little more specific? What are you working on the moment? Like basics. For example, describe me
a lot of basics
yesterday for your daily routines, for example.
Daily routines, they start with a warm-up where I do first breathing exercises. For me, a warm-up always goes through 4 stages, more or less. I first warm up the breathing, and I do every day something different, not always the same exercise, but to feel that the breathing is working and the body is working. Then I do some buzzing, some with or without the mouthpiece to make sure the lips are vibrating. Then I do simple long tones, like slow flexibility, to take time for it not to find a good sound in all the range. And then I do everything else. So fast flexibility, scales for slide technique, any kind of daily routines. And that would take up an hour, maybe 1.5 hours. And then I try to do some specific things, for example, for the range, to do some exercises for low range, extra, or some exercises for extra high range. And those are some of those exercises you don't get to do when you have a lot of concerts coming up, but because you don't want to get too tired from doing like very extreme, crazy exercises. But that's now time that you can do it. And then I just take some of those pieces that I have to play in the coming year and play through it and practice it. And sometimes I just take some Bordognis or Poprash or Puyol or Senon, just some books with etudes, and just play through and try to be very precise on my technique. That's basically what I do.
Okay. Yeah, for the guys that they are maybe interested what Jörgen is doing at the moment. Yes, a little bit going to the end of this really nice interview, Jörgen. Do you have some plans to record a new album, new CD?
Yes. I am making but it will take a little while before it will be out, because there's a lot of new music arranged and like new pieces by composers combined with new arrangements for trombone and strings. So that will be hopefully recorded next year. But I'm now busy in getting the arrangements and getting the composers to write the music and commissioning them. And there's a few trombone concertos coming up, written for me, that I would love to record. One is by Bryce Dessner. He's a great composer. He's also like a rock guitar player in the rock band The National, but also a great classical composer and film music composer. He's a fantastic composer. So I'm looking forward to that. The premiere normally will be in September if everything goes well, and we would love to record that piece as well. And next year also Tan Dun, Chinese American composer, famous one, will write a trombone concerto for me. Well, he's writing it now, but it will be premiered then, and I would love to record that as well. So there is a few recording projects.
And for sure, this premiere will be in Asia, I believe, perhaps, yes.
The Tan Dun premiere, no, will be in Amsterdam with the Concertgebouw Orchestra.
Wow. Good to hear that. Thanks a lot for your time, Jörgen. I think your schedule is really busy at the moment, so I got you.
Funny enough, it's strange because the first day was the few days it was just being at home, and then everything started with Zoom and with meetings and everything, and now
you're getting busy more than normal.
busy at home somehow,
Nice.
Which is good. It keeps me going.
Yeah, for sure. You have to be busy. Last question is really funny question that they ask to all my guests. Some of them they don't get in the beginning, so please concentrate. I have to tell you 5 things, and you have to reply with 5 other words. Got it? For example, if I say frikandel,
and I have to answer lekker.
You have to reply with just 1 word.
Okay.
The first thing that is coming up in your mind.
Okay.
Frietjes.
Delicious.
Trombone.
Beautiful.
Family.
Fantastic.
Running.
Running. Tiring.
And the last one, future.
Hope.
Nice one. I like it. Thanks a lot.
Try to keep positive and hope that things will get better.
Nowadays it's difficult to keep positive, but we have to keep on going. Thanks a lot,
Yes.
Jörgen. Thanks for your time.